Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. That's Evan Veith. Got my playoff hat on. We're going to talk about some of the playoff rankings that came out earlier this week. No game for Texas this weekend, but a lot of matchups, not just this weekend, but in the coming weeks that will definitely affect Texas standing. Longhorns were number 11 in the rankings, but not in the field. We'll dive into all that. But first, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And of course, subscribe to InsideTexas.com. Go to that first link in our description. Join for just $1. Sign up. And also, you can use the QR code right by Arch's head. That'll get you the best offer we have available. And it's one you're going to want to take advantage of as Texas goes through the rest of the regular season, the National Signing Day push, the playoff, the bowl game potentially, the transfer portal, everything. Sign up with Inside Texas. Can't wait to see y'all there. So, Evan, on Tuesday night, right before Texas tipped off their loss to Duke, we got to see the playoff rankings, the first set of rankings released by the selection committee. You can see them here on the screen. Texas number 11, 1 through 10 real quick: Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, BYU, Texas Tech, Oregon, Notre Dame, and then Texas, and we got to say, then Oklahoma. I think that's what people wanted to see. And, maybe aside from the Notre Dame aspect, it's pretty fair ranking for the Longhorns.
Yeah, I honestly thought the committee did fairly well on this one. The only egregious ones I would say is the Notre Dame one, because it wouldn't make sense to have them over Oklahoma anyway, because pretty comparable two-loss schedules, and Oklahoma's just got the better wins. And then Oklahoma has to be behind Texas because of head-to-head, which it's in their criteria. It's set everywhere. That is important, and you're seeing it's showing up, which was something I was hoping that the committee would do. They did do that, so I don't love the Notre Dame spot, but I think otherwise, this is a pretty good bracket. It's not exactly one for one with the AP poll, which I'm glad. It seems like they're kind of doing their own thing. They have their own process to it. Big thing for me, Joe, is no G5, G6 teams in this top 25. Tennessee gets in kind of somehow without a rank or without a above 500 win, but I think it was Memphis was the team that was the actual 12th one in the real bracket, but they aren't even seen as a 25th team, which I know has spurred a lot of discussion going forward.
Yeah, and we wrote about this earlier this week, and that's kind of outside of anything that pertains to Texas, just because all those teams, whether it's Navy or North Texas or San Diego State or Memphis, they're going to end up behind Texas in the rankings should Texas win out. So I nothing really to see on that front. And then you look ahead of Texas in what's on 1 through 10. Ohio State and Indiana are on a collision course, and I think that's fine for Texas as long as those two teams keep winning. And they play each other in the Big Ten championship game. Both of them are going to get in. I don't think there's any big issue there. But the Longhorns play number 3 A&M, number 5 Georgia. There's going to be some opportunities for Texas to really move up if they win out by posting some really quality wins, one at home, one on the road.
Yeah, them being ranked 11th, and a big disclaimer about this 11th. Yes, they're not in the actual bracket right now because the ACC winner in Virginia in the last spot for the 5th highest ranked conference winner would be Memphis. So Texas will be the first one out right here. But BYU and Texas Tech play tonight, and that's immediately going to have one of those teams go behind Texas, whether it be a 2-loss Texas Tech, which won't have the resume Texas does, or a 1-loss BYU, which also would be saying, hey, we're not quite there at the level of these SEC teams. So Texas would immediately jump right into that top 12. And then from there, if they win out, of course they're not going to fall down, Joe. They might even get that first round home game if they are 3-0 down the stretch. You're only a 2-loss SEC team. You got wins over other playoff teams like A&M and Georgia, and maybe you kicked Oklahoma or Vanderbilt out of it. So that's where the Texas Longhorns could go and say, hey, I know this. We had a really rough game in Gainesville, and the season started poorly. The first 8 weeks of the year weren't very fun for us, but suddenly we take care of business. We win out, and you're looking at a team that's hosting it in the first round of this playoff.
One of the other things is that Texas and Steve Sarkisian, when he got to the facility on Wednesday, I wouldn't be surprised if he showed him a graphic that looked like this and said, it doesn't matter, guys, you're not in it right now. You have to go win these football games. You can't just rest on your laurels and hope for the best. You have to go win these games. And 10-2 is a position that, may be a little bit more precarious than what Texas wants. But I think that gave Steve Sarkisian some great motivational fodder if he needed any more to get his team ready to go on this final charge in the month of November. Going to go back to the rankings real quick. We can kind of take this from an SEC perspective and maybe sprinkle in some of the different things about the other conferences. As far as the SEC teams in here, Ole Miss really does not play another playoff contender. They do get, I think they're playing the Citadel. They do have a hairy game in Starkville in the Egg Bowl, but that always gets crazy. But none of the teams on Ole Miss schedule until maybe they get to the SEC championship game are really a playoff level contender. Everybody else plays at least one. And I was pretty generous in how I included teams in that category. I think Missouri, just by being in this ranking, still in there. I'm not putting Tennessee in there. But Missouri plays a playoff contender. Georgia, they're playing Texas. They're also playing Georgia Tech, which is a little bit of an interesting factor. And that game's going to be in the Georgia Dome. But Oklahoma's playing, they still have games against playoff contenders. Like everybody in the SEC, there's going to be some sorting out in that race. And then I think similar applies to the Big Ten. Ohio State and Indiana don't play each other maybe until the Big Ten title game. But Oregon, they have to play Washington, who you see in the rankings. USC and Iowa, I think they're playing each other. Michigan plays a few of these teams. So a lot of the intrigue that we have now at the beginning of November, it's going to look a lot clearer at the end of the month. And, the hope is for Texas that the SEC is a 5-bid league and Texas is that 5th team that gets into the college football playoff.
Joe, they would never admit it, but I think Oregon's extremely nervous with how this played out because they probably had an argument to be number 8 in this one. And I think they should probably be number 6 in that area. But that Penn State win is not going to hold the weight that maybe it should, but definitely it wouldn't from the start of the season. And then, Joe, they're at Iowa this weekend. They also have to play USC and go to Washington. Like going 3 for 3 there is very impressive. And they would maybe get a bye with that if they're a one-loss team with that kind of resume. But what if they lose one of those games? What if they lose 2 of those games? That's one where you're saying, hey, Oregon's not a safe team in this. Whereas I feel like that top 5 feels generally pretty safe, as well as Ole Miss, I guess you'd throw in there. Even with Alabama playing Oklahoma, like Alabama goes 2-0 against Oklahoma and LSU in these next weeks, and they're waltzing into the playoff. But yeah, I think your point about the 5 teams rings true because it's gonna be hard to knock Ole Miss out. Alabama's probably and A&M are probably too good at teams with too good of resumes already to keep them out. Maybe Texas could, you beat Georgia and suddenly you're ahead of them, but I think they would still need to be that 5th team. And hey, like I know people weren't thinking this a few weeks ago, but Oklahoma's still in this race, Joe. I mean, they probably have the most easy way to get in with a 9-3 of all these teams because their schedule is so hard. So they get that 9-3, and Texas is 9-3. I wonder what the playoff committee would do there with the head-to-head win for Texas.
Looking a little bit more at the ACC and in the Big 12, you do have that BYU Texas Tech game. That'll determine a lot. But what Texas really needs, again, I think I mentioned this, is for those leagues, the ACC and the Big 12, to be 1-bid leagues. Because Notre Dame, as a result of just being Notre Dame, they kind of, use a fantasy football term, they vulture a spot from any of these other leagues. So if Notre Dame is able to overcome, Navy, one more weak team, Pitt and Stanford, I think it is, or maybe just Navy, Pitt and Stanford, like that's going to make things interesting for, trying to determine who needs that last spot. So, and as we saw on the bracket, Virginia there is number 14, but by the result of at this juncture needing to fill in a bracket and being that highest ranked ACC team, they threw them into the playoff field. If Virginia just keeps winning, I think it'll be okay. Like that's a team that'll probably, as a result of doing that, knock off Georgia Tech. Notre Dame may take care of Pitt. I was looking through the rest of the ACC. I think SMU is somehow like still in the conversation. Texas does not need that team to steal a bid. Like as long as things happen in the ACC and in the Big 12 to where, the one team from the Big 12 is Texas Tech, the one team from the ACC is Virginia, and then you get your G5 team. Okay, there is 3 of your 12, and then that leaves 9 spots left. You're trying to figure out how many Big Ten teams make it in after Ohio State and Indiana at this juncture. And then the rest, you hope, goes to the SEC and not to Notre Dame if you're Texas, because you really think, that's going to be your path in.
If you're looking for a home in the Austin area, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. Laura's a part of the elite Andy Allen team at Keller Williams Realty. She's helped Longhorns find their dream homes all over Central Texas. You can just ask our very own Ian Boyd, who moved from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Whether you're searching in Austin, Round Rock, Georgetown, San Marcos, or even parts of the 254 or the 210, Laura has you covered. So call 512-784-0505, or you can email her at laura@andyallenteam.com. She's a Longhorn, a friend of Inside Texas, and the person you need to call to get your next home in Central Texas. Call Laura Baker today. Contact info is in the description.
Yeah, Joe, it's funny. 7 teams are still in it for the ACC just based on, they need to get that conference championship to win. Even Miami could get there, but I just don't think there's any way that this is going to be a 2-bid league because they're just not playing that well. Their wins over each other aren't going to have that much influence, whereas the SEC and Alabama beating the 5th best team helps them out a bunch, but Virginia beating Louisville doesn't move the needle enough, which you're already seeing. They're not ranked above Texas with that win. So I'm not all that concerned about the ACC being a 2-bid. The Big 12 definitely has a chance. I'm not really sure which of Tech BYU winning is better for Texas here or better for whichever team wants to be that last bid in. But, one of them is going to add a loss here, and then that's going to probably be the duo that you're going to see in the conference championship. I think they're better than the rest of their competition, even though Utah's a pretty good team. So BYU's got some tough games left on their schedule. They got TCU. They also go to Cincinnati, which could also just right there mess up things in that type of race. So, yeah, the way I look at it, Joe, you've got 5 auto bids coming in that are taking spots. Whichever one of Indiana or Ohio State doesn't get that bid is going to get in no matter what. And I think you can just pencil in one of Ole Miss or A&M or Alabama to be the second SEC team there. Texas needs to get in one of those 5 spots that is left after those 7, and that means probably being the 4th or 5th best SEC team. I don't love what that means with Notre Dame, that they're already ahead of Texas because, Texas wins out. They're going to be ahead of Notre Dame. They're going to be in the playoff. That's not a concern for Texas fans. But if they go 9-3 and they beat Georgia, but they lose to A&M, is the committee going to say, if they've already ranked Notre Dame ahead and Notre Dame wins the rest of their games, is the committee going to let Texas go above Notre Dame in that case? I don't think so. So that's where it's tough, where the Longhorns being ranked right now behind Notre Dame may generally have a long-term impact on them going forward.
And a lot of this also doesn't we've kind of ignored the whole idea of just getting to the SEC championship game and winning that one. I'm not sure how much they would take away from Texas if Texas got there and lost a conference championship game. If they get there and win it, then everything's all taken care of, and SEC champion is not going to be ranked outside the top 4, barring something crazy. But this is just how we have to think about the rest of the schedule. And I know we talked about SEC and the contenders they play. This is a good way to look at it and who's ahead of everybody. Alabama gets LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, then has to play the Iron Bowl. A&M is at Missouri, plays South Carolina and Samford at home, which I hope Jimbo Fisher is invited to that one. Then they have to come to Texas. Ole Miss gets the Citadel, Florida, a bye, and then plays the Egg Bowl in Starkville. Georgia at Starkville, Texas, Charlotte, and then plays Georgia Tech in the Georgia Dome. Texas, of course, on bye at Georgia, Arkansas, and Texas A&M. Oklahoma also on bye at Bama, Missouri, and LSU. Vanderbilt, who's still in it, Auburn bye, Kentucky at Tennessee and the Missouri, also still in it. Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, and at Oklahoma at Arkansas. Like, this picture may be murky right now as it pertains to all the different things with the race. It's early November still. Like, there's going to be some sorting out, but once these games happen, and even if these teams beat each other up, like, winning is going to solve things for Texas, and other teams are going to fall by the wayside just as they do every year. Remember, A&M was number 3 in a playoff ranking one year. I think Miami was number 2. Mississippi State was the first number 1 team ever in these college football playoff rankings. Like, things change so often over the course of the season. And, we've got all these different games in the SEC that will be playoff elimination games. That means all the different games around the country as well are going to be playoff elimination games.
Yeah, I do think when you see it in front of you, Joe, you do notice that these 4 teams that are above Texas are, apart from Georgia, kind of getting it off pretty easy to end the year. I mean, Alabama's playing 2 teams without a head coach, Eastern Illinois, and then they get to host Oklahoma. A&M, they're not getting the starting quarterback at Missouri, which could have been a really tough game. Now it's a little bit more favored A&M side, and then South Carolina and Stanford probably won't be contending against them. Ole Miss gets a bye and then another bye with the Citadel. Georgia does play tough teams, and Texas impacts that, but it is going to be hard to dethrone the Alabama, the Ole Miss, the Texas A&M, because they've kind of gotten the hard parts of their schedule out of the way, and now you're sitting here and you got a Citadel or an Eastern Illinois. So that's where that either just go and take care of your business, go 3-0, or man, 9-3, you're going to need a lot of help from, Oklahoma not quite winning the way that they would need to get in, and some other teams in the other conferences helping out the Longhorns.
One thing, I know I just mentioned it, but I do want to show this. This is from the first rankings ever released in 2014. This is the very first one that we ever saw. And that you see at the very top, Mississippi State, Dak Prescott, number 1. Florida State, I think that was a Jameis team, number 2, and it was the most fraudulent undefeated team I've ever seen. Number 3, Auburn. 4, Ole Miss. 5, Marcus Mariota, Oregon.
That's
6,
Swag
Alabama.
Kelly at Ole Miss.
Say again?
Was that Swag Kelly, Chad Kelly at Ole Miss?
It may have been. It was a one of the Ole Miss teams that beat Bama. And then here's one other thing. Remember, this is 2014. So hey, you're one of the Charlie Strong era. Let's find the national champion. Nebraska. Number 16. All the way down there. So that just shows how much these things can change over the course of 3, 4, 5 weeks that we have over the course of November. Baylor and TCU, I think they just missed the top 4 that year. So tough sledding for them. So it's been a good playoff discussion. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Of course, make sure you head to InsideTexas.com. Sign up using that first link in our description. You get the playoff push. You get the National Signing Day push, postseason, portal, everything you could want covering the Texas Longhorns. We've even got basketball started. Got a game, I think, this weekend. A bye game, maybe the first of the first win of the Sean Miller era. So going to be fun to track all that. Evan, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.